It comes down to this. Chen must only cruise home to a decent finish, and Serwa must score a podium to even have a mathematical shot. Unfortunately for both of them, Watkins Glen is prone to unpredictability. As Yogi Berra once said, it ain't over till it's over. And today, we'll see how it wraps up as we get ready to watch round 10 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Watkins Glen is among the more popular circuits run here on iRacing. To see why it shows up so often, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Watkins Glen International. Situated in upstate New York, just south of the Finger Lakes, this track has seen it all. Few road circuits can boast hosting Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, and IMSA during its history. Though it did have a brief fallow period in the early 80s, thanks to the investment of local companies, it's grown into one of the premier road tracks in the U.S. With 4 layouts to choose from that range between 2.5 and 3.5 miles in length, lap times can vary greatly. But it also means it's suitable for lots of different levels of racing, from amateur to pro. The one thing that stays consistent no matter which car and which layout you're using is that Watkins Glen means speed. Many of the straights are very long, and the majority of the corners are fast sweepers. Some of them include a surprising amount of banking as well. Combine that with the proximity of the barriers, and this historic circuit retains a very old-school feel. Drivers in lesser-powered cars can expect drafting battles, while higher-powered machinery will test the skill and bravery of their pilots. Some of the turns are visually iconic, such as the carousel and the S's. Others, like the inner loop, the chute, and turn 9, greatly challenge even the expertly skilled. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the drastic amount of elevation change drivers experience. Between its rich history and popularity among drivers, this track stays busy and seems likely to be that way for a long, long time. This is a track that's seen lots of different styles of racing over its many years of history, but today, DJ, we take what is sort of a lower level open wheeler. So how is this going to play out at this track?
Well, Joe, with the low downforce that these cars run, it's going to be a slipping and sliding fest, especially as we go down through the boot on this layout that we're going to be running. It's going to be really tricky down there looking through 6, 7, 8, 9, those corners in particular. But the biggest thing to take into consideration on this track is the draft from turn 1 all the way to turn 5. That is a mega draft fest. We saw some guys in practice really being able to improve their times almost by a full second over what they were running. And so I think in these cars, the number one overtaking opportunity is going to be down through that carousel of turn 5. But don't be surprised if you see a couple of tricky guys running a good pass or two through 6, 7, 8, and maybe even 9.
Absolutely. And I know that said the classic layout on our map, we're actually running the classic boot. So this is the version that has the extra appendage added on there. Today's broadcast, however, is proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. And let's take a look at that Drivers' Championship just so that you can get up to speed of what to expect in today's championship race, because as real quick there we can see the correct track map of what they're going to be running out there today. But as for those points, now it is a long shot for David Serwa. 29 points that he has to make up, and that's before we finish with qualifying, which includes a bonus. We'll talk about that in a moment. Guyon is mathematically eliminated, Ike is, Legault is, so it's down to 2 here in the last race. And remember, in this, drop weeks do not count in these drivers' championships in the final round. So you have to show up and you have to run. Of course, we also have the AM Championship. How is that holding up right now, DJ?
Well, Joe, it's a little bit tighter in the AM Championship, you might say, as you see Dave Peterson there with a measly 1-point lead over Owen McLaughlin. That is super, super tight, and so we're going to have to be watching them as a single position will determine that. Michael Broomhead still has chance if a little bad luck befalls Peterson or McLaughlin. So those are our 3 championship contenders. But 4th and 5th, they are mathematically eliminated. That's Tyler Gore and Adam Wright. Maybe a potential there for Wright to jump up on Gore if he gets the right amount of points.
Yeah, that's a very, very long shot, especially for the AM Championship. We're not really expecting him to be winning and taking full bonus points. But let's look at the teams as well while we've got the opportunity. With just this final round, Lavoie Motorsport has got to get a pretty good overall result. Not impossible to overcome Team Talent, but it is a win's worth and then some that they have got to overcome to get past that top team. RSR Esport is out of it, Blown Tranny Racing as well. And then you've got Beagle Vision that is way back there. Blown Tranny could maybe overtake the 3rd spot. But again, that is going to be a lot of points that they are going to have to make up. For this final round, DJ, why don't you give us a quick insight of what exactly is happening in this race?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It is round 10 out of 10, the final one. We're going to be running a 45-minute race here at Watkins Glen. Completely open setup, so these drivers can custom tune their cars to whatever's going to suit their driving style best. But the one important thing to note, as always, is there is a fuel restriction, so we will see 1 pit stop at a minimum during the course of this race. Drive-through penalties do accrue if you get 11 in instant points, and you will get disqualified at 20. But there are some bonus points on avail here today, and that's very important for these top championships. You get a point for pole, you get a point for fastest lap, and you get a point for 3 incidents or less.
Exactly. So remember those as poll right now underway, and Declan Eady, interestingly, currently holds that provisional poll. I'm trying to figure out where Chin is exactly, and he is, well, he's not out there. Well, and he hasn't set any laps, so I'm not sure what exactly he's doing here. I wonder if this is another bet with his stream that he's trying to play at. It's a dangerous one because it could cost him a championship, which is a good segue into what needs to happen for Serwa to take it. Essentially, for those wondering, the simplest way is Chin needs only 22nd place, no matter how many bonus points he gets, to clinch it. If he finishes 22nd or higher, he will take the championship no matter what Serwa does. And there is 27 cars that are currently out there today. So very few positions that he can finish in to lose it. Serwa, on the other hand, must be 3rd or higher to at least have a mathematical shot. Realistically, he's going to need as many bonus points as he needs and to take the win. Serwa currently sitting 5th, DJ, in our qualifying.
Yeah, he's 5th, and he's been looking a little squirrely out there, a little, dare I say, accident-prone, which is something that we do not normally say about David Serwa. He, on his, just after his first lap to get him that position that we saw him in as he jumps up to 2nd now, but he did have a wipeout as we now watch 3rd place Andreas Eich crossing the line. Looks like a warm-up lap for him. Matthew Hall here coming across the line. Now, Hall was one of those guys that we were kind of looking at in the practice races. He was able, or in the practice runs, he was able to do a mega lap to lead the practice times, but he was able to do it by getting that massive draft through the S's and up into turn 5. So with all the cars out on the track, that's something to watch for, is who's able to time that draft right and get the most out of the car.
That said, Hall's 5th right now, so he seems to be holding his own and is fairly quick today. So maybe he can back it up, at least with a decent finish. Kevin Santana, who is currently rounding out the top 10, is 2nd in the AM qualifying. Highest there is Owen McLaughlin. Let's see if Santana can manage to take that AM pole away as he crosses the line. Nope, not going to be faster. In fact, that must have been some sort of warm-up lap, because quite slower than a regular timed lap. So what about Owen McLaughlin? Going to try and extend himself farther away from Santana, but that's not going to do it, as that lap did not count.
Yeah, he's not going to get it there, but he is crucially up into 8th place, and his closest AM rival, that's Dave Peterson is currently in 13th, so he's got a bit of an advantage there. That is for the lead, as here we see Peterson crossing the line about 5/10 off of his previous best time, so he's going to want to look to do better with it, closing in on about 5 minutes to go.
All right, update on Joshua Chin. He is out on track now and on his warm-up lap. So it does look like he at least intends to put something on the board. He's the only driver that hasn't set a time currently. What about Matthew Hall on his fourth time lap? A 40.2 up to P4. He is absolutely backing this up.
He really is. Hall just has a very good feel for this track. And, you know, Joe, I was driving this last night as we watch Alex Guyon around here. It's really a rhythm track, specifically as you go down into the boot and through the laces and all of that. It's really one that you've just got to kind of feel it. There's a lot of instinct. There's some hard braking points, as Alex Guyon barely not able to improve his time.
So he'll continue around to see if he can do any better. I'm looking at Eric LeBlanc in the 5.42. As he comes off the final turn. He's got a slipstream from Christopher Richards, so this might help him up from his 9th spot. Nope, looks like that one won't count for him, so that won't do him any good.
It won't, but here we're going to watch Owen McLaughlin coming across the line, seeing if he can improve on that 8th place position, and he does with a 40.37. That's not going to move him up the standings. Oh, no, excuse me, it is, as our timing and scoring updates. That's going to move him up to 6th place, so McLaughlin really doing well here.
Chin just started his first flying lap. Let's see what he can do. We're going to get on board the helmet cam, see what the driver sees. Now, DJ, with this being the version without the inner loop and all the high speeds that we're going to see here, will the carousel be much of a place that you can pass?
It's going to be tricky. You're only going to drop it down to probably 4th, maybe 3rd gear coming through there. But after the mega speeds you're doing coming out of there, and with the help of the draft, it is one there. You can see Chin bringing it down to 4th gear, just like we said. It's going to be one that you can do it if you're gutsy, and more importantly, it'll set you up for right here, turn 6. That left-hander, that's going to be a really good overtaking opportunity to watch. But I think one of the best ones is going to be right here. Hard braking, down the gears, into 2nd, going uphill after that. That's a tricky corner, but you can carry a lot of momentum, specifically around the outside.
So a little sawed at the wheel coming out of the toe, but Chin held it. So far, so good. I haven't seen any offs or anything super dramatic. As once again, exiting the corner, car looked a little bit shaky. Now, out of turn 9. Nothing but dangerous corners out from here, and it is very loose, DJ, on corner exit.
That's a big bobble from Chin. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got that car trimmed out a little bit, running a little bit less downforce, try to maximize speed down the straights. He's going to get it onto the main straight there. Back up through the gears. Chin is going to cross the line. This looks like it's going to be pretty quick. 39.4. That's going to put him in 2nd place.
Ooh, 6 1,000ths off of Declan Eady. Declan, of course, one of the few others that have won races. Only 3 drivers have won races this season. Eady, Serrois, and then Chin has been dominating, taking 7 of the victories so far this season. This is Jean-Francois Mette, who did not improve that time by. They're down to 2 minutes left to go. And with them just being over a minute 39 for most drivers, that's not too many laps left for the majority of our fields. Good news is everybody has managed to put one on the board now.
So we are going to indeed have a full field there. Just one quick mention to bring up to our viewers there, as you see the guys running very, very wide through turn 1. That is allowed on this track. You can bring the car out well past the rumble strips. You just have to make sure you don't clip the grass. So that is not getting anybody incidents by doing that, as Alex Guyon crosses the line, unable to improve his time.
Also worth noting on the pole positions, Chin has been just as dominant there, taking 6 of them thus far. Edie's got 1, and Ike has 1, along with Espedy managing to snag at least 1 pole position so far this season. Looking at Aaron Roofs now, sitting in 8th place. He puts another one on the board, but it's not going to be an improvement. He'll get time for 1 last attempt. What about Josh Chin? Looking for pole, looking for a bonus point. And that might... No, it won't do it. Wow! He's now got 5 100ths to go to get to Declan Eady.
He's slowly pulling him in, and here comes David Sirois across the line, unable to improve his time, but he has crossed before the checkered flag falls, so both Chin and Sirois will get another crack at the apple here as we watch Don Bowden now working his way out of the boot and up into turn 10.
No, he won't be the first to take the checkered flag. He'll get across the line in time to start one more final flyer if he so desires. Looks like he does as he comes down to the line. He sits in 16th. This one will be his quickest, and by quite a margin. It'll put him up into 14th position.
And there we got Tyler Gore. That is going to be the last across the line as we're going to jump back here, start these guys as they finish up qualifying. Working their way through the S's there. You can see how tricky it is. That elevation change, so easy to throw the car off coming out of turn 9.
It was Barnett who was trying to hold on to it, pushing it to its limit. He'll be the first to take the checkered flag. Then after him, it'll be Olivier Legault in the 88. Barnett looking to improve on a 41.9, and he won't do it, unfortunately. Legault abandons his lap. He's done. Aaron Roof's going to be next in the number 26, trying to get higher than row 4. A 40.4, his quickest right now. Last one not going to go any faster. Josh Chin, can he finally get that pole? 3 flying laps to the line? No.
Well, David Sirois, though, has got something to say, but before that, Christopher Richards going to cross the line here, trying to improve on a 41.8. Is he going to beat that time? He is not, putting in a 42.2, but here comes David Sirois. He's off, so that's going to leave Sirois in 3rd, Chin 2nd, and Declan Eady 4th, unless Don Bowden, our last crosser, can say anything about it.
Jean-Francois Maté up to 8th with his improvement. Bowden is not likely to take the pole, but you never know. He's about 1.3 seconds off the fastest time right now. So let's see what the number 5 is going to do. Well, nothing. He's going to come into pit lane as he abandons it. That's going to be the last of our qualifiers here. That sets our grid, and Chin will not get the bonus point. He still can lose it if he finishes lower than 22nd. So Declan Eady takes the bonus point instead with his 2nd pole of the season. Chin starts next to him, and David Sirois starts in P3. You've got Matthew Hall to his outside backing up his practice performance, and Andreas Eich will be starting in P5. Alex Guyon to his outside in 6th. Then in row 4, it's Owen McLaughlin on the inside in 7th. Jean-Francois Maté starts 8th, and Aaron Roof starts in 9th. Top 10 going to be rounded out by Kevin Santana.
Starting off the night in 11th is going to be Eric LeBlanc, followed by Dave Peterson in 12th. That is your current AM leader. He's going to have to move up the field and get ahead of Owen McLaughlin if he wants to keep that lead intact. And 13th, though, is going to be Michael Broomhead, followed by Don Bowden. And the inside of row 8 will be Sean Duhamel, followed by Adam Wright. Olivier Legault is going to line up 17th, followed by Tyler Scarali. Then in row 10 is Paul Wildridge and Matthew Gunderson.
Donald Olson starts in 21st with Tyler Gore in 22nd. Then it's Christopher Richards in the 23rd position. Barry Cochran starts P24 and Daniel Barnett in 25th, followed by Sebastian Prue in 26th and David Hebert rounding out the field of 27 drivers. Looks like we have all 27 in and ready to line up on the grid. So what is today's season finale going to be like, especially for our 2 protagonists, with Josh Chin starting in 2nd and Sirois starting in the position directly behind, diagonally behind him on the grid? Could he maybe get himself a good jump and get to the inside of him by the first corner? I'm also curious as well, DJ, if we're going to see any sort of fuel shenanigans throughout the race, since this has a lot of long straightaways.
We very well could, and we've talked about it in just about every race this year. If you're able to tuck behind in the draft, save a couple of gallons of fuel here and there, you got to take less when you come into the pits. So I think that's certainly a possibility to check in mind. We'll have to see as these guys start to do that and as the race develops.
Waiting for just a couple more drivers to put themselves on the grid. Our last chance to, or their last chance rather, to try and improve their position. Keep an eye on Peterson, Dave Peterson, and Owen McLaughlin in that AM championship. McLaughlin currently starting this race from 7th, whereas Peterson is going to be starting it from 12th. So Dave has some ground to make up. Only 1 point separating them means it's whoever essentially finishes ahead of the two. I think that's the last of our fields, so we should get that pace car rolling any moment now. There goes the Porsche pace car heading down into the 90. Now, we've seen in real life as well, you know, I talked about the unpredictability. That first corner tends to cause some accidents, especially in open wheel cars.
You read my mind, Joe. I was just about to bring that up. Yeah, it's a surprisingly difficult corner. It's nice and wide, and as we talked about, you can really run the cars over there without getting an off track. But the problem of it is that when you're coming in on that first lap, you think you can carry so much speed in there, everybody checks up, and there can be a real schmozzle that develops. What's going to be especially interesting, though, is Joshua Chin starting on that outside line. He may be able to carry a little bit more momentum and take that and maybe push it into the lead. And I gotta think, if I'm David Sawah, I do not like that inside line there. That's a one-way ticket to get a hard pinch from somebody, and so he may be especially careful to just try to get through there alive.
And of course, up the backstretch towards the highest point on the circuit without the inner loop, going old school today at Watkins Glen towards the carousel. You know, you have to wonder, is Josh Chin maybe not wanting to lead out of the first corner, though? Because we have seen the lead swap if somebody gets a good run up to here with the slipstream.
It's a distinct possibility, and I think some of the guys behind, if they're able to survive some carnage into one, are going to have a really interesting opportunity. Looking at Sawah, Hall, Ike, Guyon, they can maybe get the benefit of a 2, 3, maybe even a 4-car draft as they go down there. So we could certainly see some wild moves into the carousel. And, you know, I talked about it a little bit before as they work their way down in here through the laces of the boot. It's a really great back and forth section. You can have the inside line coming through the carousel, and then you're forced to the outside coming through the laces. And so you can see a lot of constant side-by-side action, and it makes for a great race, but certainly some spine-tingling moments if you're in the cockpit of the car.
No doubt about that. Speaking of tingling, I think anybody who tries to touch the track might get a little bit of a sensation because it's 106 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface currently, so it's toasty. Cars are going to be slipping and sliding around, and they'll have to watch out for those tires over the course of this 45-minute event. Up towards the heel of the boot, we're almost done with our warm-up lap. What are we going to see between our front runners? And can Declan Eady be the first one other than our current championship leader, Joshua Chin, to take multiple victories? Sawah has one. Eady has one. I'm sure he'd like to put himself a little bit higher up on the board, even though he's not in the points championship for the overall victory. Out of the penultimate turn, it's not far before they get to that pit entry, so the Porsche pace car should be ducking in quite quickly. Eady giving watch out of the banked final right-hander. There goes the Porsche pace car. And Eady is off quickly. Green flag is out here for the final round of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series. Chin not able to get beside him. It's a side-by-side battle between Hall and Sawah down into the first corner. Hall's going to go wide, though, as he loses out big time, dropping 3 positions. Otherwise, it looks fairly clean behind them.
Everybody keeping it nice and orderly, and I think Joshua Chin reading your mind, getting a mega draft here on Declan Eady. He's really getting a good run. He's going to move out to what will be the outside up turn 5 as they go side by side down that back stretch.
He's not fully clear quite yet. He's just barely ahead. Is he going to chop him off? He does. Down into the carousel, your new leader is Chin. Behind him, Andreas Ike doing the same move on David Sawah to get into 3rd position. A lot of drivers using that slipstream, actually, and the battles continue in the mid-pack, down into the chute.
Everybody here seeming to run as much too wide as they can as they work their way down through the boot itself, coming back up here through that awesome turn 7 as they start to come back around up and over the bridge. Everybody getting into single file. A little bit of action there in the back there behind Aaron Roofs, but no major catastrophes here today, although we do see Tyler Scarali, I think, has pulled into the pits on a tow.
Must have lost it. We'll try and figure that out a little bit later. Pretty much all single file now at this point. Everybody finally getting themselves into line as you see them coming out of turn 9, back onto the main course, and Josh Chin leads the way. Declan Eady giving chase. Can he return the move up the backstretch, or does he want to? Maybe these pair want to continue to try and pull away as he gapped Ike by about a second.
Yeah, they've got a good gap there working, and it'll be interesting to see if they play a little bit of leapfrog to try to pull themselves away from those drivers behind them as Andreas Ike runs just a hair bit wide. That's a different line, but that's going to give a great run to David Sirwa here. You see him dart out to the outside a little bit, try to get some clean air on that wing to get a better line through the S's, and here comes the draft.
Yeah, he maybe caught him a little bit too fast. So is this going to be enough? Ahead of them, we see they're not side by side for the lead, though Eady will catch up. Down to the inside, he's got the desired line. Sirwa tries to complete the move, but it's banked quite heavily around the carousel. Ike's not able to hold on the long way around. He slips back into fourth.
I thought for a second Ike was going to be able to do that, but he is close enough to be able to at least keep the pressure up on David Sirwa. That is Hall behind them as well, keeping up pressure on them, trying to see what they can do.
We had our first major accident, Michael Broomhead in the 05, unfortunately losing it and then collecting the likes of Sebastian Prue in the carousel. Poor Prue just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, absolutely nothing, and that can happen here at some point. You know, this is a road course, but it does treat itself a little bit like an oval at times, that it's just nowhere to go when an accident in front of you happens.
As we continue on, Eady stays close to Chin. About half a second between the pair, but already up to 2.2. Back to David Sirwa. That side-by-side battling they had seemed to have slowed them up quite a bit. They complete lap 2, now into lap 3. And Josh Chin already setting fastest lap of the race up at the top of the field. You see them using that runoff area that DJ was mentioning earlier. And I believe Alex Guyon has a very good run behind this front pair. He's trying to get one over on Matthew Hall.
He is indeed that really great 3-4 car train there, and here he comes, really putting the power down. Hall's trying to just make his car as wide as possible, almost a little bit late on the move there, but that is going to let Guyon get a really good draft on the outside. Let's see if he can do what Sirwa did. He's got the move made before the carousel. That is Guyon up a spot into 5th.
A little nervous. I thought maybe he'd run into the back of him or clip him as he tried to pull off to the side. So clean move there for the 808 car. And remember, Matthew Hall started up in 4th position. He's now down to 6 here early on. His pace was good, single lap. Can he continue to keep that up over the course of the entire race? Behind them, you see someone ducking out. That looks to be Jean-Francois Mattei trying to overtake Aaron Roofs for P8. And as they come down into the heel of the boot, easy pass for Jean-Francois, and he claims the position.
Great move there, just using that natural elevation to get the power down when he needs to. Roofs looked like he was going to try to take a move down in at 9, but Mattei able to cover him off. Is now they come in here through turn 10. This is just a very light lift of the pedal, no braking, and pretty much similar for turn 11, as now the leaders are starting on lap 4. Everything up front staying relatively nice in order. This is one of the better battles here as we watch Mattei go by, and that is Roofs now under pressure from Eric LeBlanc behind him.
And it looks like Santana almost got overtaken by Peterson. Remember, Peterson in the hunt for the AM Championship, and they're going to go side by side up the hill. This is going to cost both of them a little bit of time. Peterson does pull out ahead, but he gives the slipstream to the 666 car. Santana gets another bite at it, but he lifts and decides he doesn't want to fight it. So Peterson into P11.
Well, that's exactly what Dave Peterson needs to do, just slowly move up. Owen McLaughlin's still running 7th, so that's where McLaughlin needs to be. If things ended as they were, McLaughlin would be the AM champion. But interesting move there from Santana. I think, Joe, that plays into what you were talking about with trying to save a little bit of fuel there.
Could be playing the long game on it. He's still got a long bit of game to go, as we still have 38 minutes on the clock in this 45-minute contest. Fourth place is not over. Remember Andreas Ike, Alex Guyon, and Matthew Hall? Well, they've now got Owen McLaughlin on the back of them. Basically a four-way tussle for this position just outside of the podium. A little wide there for Guyon as well, as Hall continues to hound him.
Yeah, Hall's going to want to stay on his gearbox there, not try to do anything too gutsy through 10 and 11, and just try to take advantage of that slipstream up the backstretch. And same with Owen McLaughlin here. He's got those cars in front of him. That's going to punch a massive hole through the air, and one that he should be able to get a really good move on in the carousel.
They come off of the 90. Hall's got the run that he wants on Guyon, but once again, we're seeing maybe he's too close. He starts to get right up to that gearbox, can't do anything with it yet. As that's been happening, I saw the corner of my eye, Adam Wright tumbling down the order, so he must have had an issue we'll go back to later. Looking to the inside of Guyon, Matthew Hall thinks about it, then decides to lift and bail out of the move.
Yeah, they're going to stay nice and single file there. I think Guyon also did a little bit of lifting, as looks like he could have had a run on Andreas Ike if he wanted. But everybody just trying to be nice and orderly here. These guys know this is a long race, not wanting to do anything too brash. They're just going to stay here all in a line and see what can come to them.
Update on Adam Wright is down to the inside, taking another look. Hall certainly making Guyon sweat. Wright made a mistake out of turn 1 and unfortunately overcorrected and went into the wall. He took too much damage. He had to take a tow to the pits. Continuing to watch this battle for P4. They bring it along. Yeah, it looks like Jean-Francois Mattei, Eric LeBlanc. Yeah, they're bringing even more friends in. This train is getting bigger and bigger.
It's going to get more and more fun now, as those guys in the back have got to be looking at all that dirty air in front of them getting cleared up and just licking their chops. But Hall here really putting on a good show of just constantly showing his nose to Alex Guyon, maybe trying to psych him out a little bit. So kudos to Matthew Hall on this run. This is a really smart run for him.
Hasn't produced fruit yet, but he's been close. They tuck it through the first corner. Look at how wide Andreas Ike up there was taking it, trying to carry as much momentum as he could. It's already up to 140 miles an hour here, nearly at the top of the hill. Continuing to climb both in elevation and in speed, 150 miles an hour. Ike couldn't avoid giving the draft to Guyon, and Guyon's going to get to his right side. Is he going to be able to take the position and complete it? They're into the carousel. It looks like he's got it. Ike has no resistance and slips back into fifth.
Yeah, he's going to do that. Matthew Hall really just sitting there in the popcorn position watching everything happen in front of him. But this whole battle has just not really given anybody a clear leader. The only person to break away is David Sirois, and I really think that, Joe, that's to his disadvantage, as he's now 3.6 seconds, or excuse me, 4 seconds back of the leaders and has nobody to draft with, and that's just costing him more and more every lap.
So this fight, as you mentioned, just dropping away from those in front of them. Bad news, as down to the inside into turn 9. Looks like Hall's going to get one over on Ike, and now down one more position for the number 76 in a single lap. Owen McLaughlin going to be on his tail. I'm sure Owen would like that extra security in his AM championship fight. But I was going to say, for fans of David Sirois, he's unfortunately all on his lonesome as Joshua Chen leads this race. And though Sirois is on the podium like he needs to be, he is currently not in championship winning position.
Not at all, as they now work their way back up. The S's staying on this great battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way down. That's Andreas Ike now looking for a little bit revenge after he got caught napping in turn 9. He's got a good draft. Looks like he's been able to time that right. Thinks about going to the inside. No, he's going to hold back and wait on it, and now dives to the inside on Matthew Hall. He's going to keep the pedal down. He's not backing down out of this one.
Driver that's going to take advantage of this is Guyon, who's pulling away from the pair of them, but Hall defends well. Out around the outside of the carousel. Nicely done by the number 911 car to hold on to P5. Ike's going to have to do it another way.
And that's that crossover that we were talking about, that inside to outside through the carousel and into the laces, just expertly held onto there by Matthew Hall. He knew if he could keep the momentum on the outside of the carousel, he'd do it. But now you can see on your screen, Owen McLaughlin really up the gearbox of Andreas Eick here. So it looks like that's where going to be the battle is coming, with Jean-Francois Mattei and Eric LeBlanc also right up behind.
As they crest over and through into turn 9. McLaughlin giving watch on Andreas Eick. Guyon still separated himself by about 9/10. If he can continue to pull that away, he might be able to break the draft and go out on his own. I'm seeing Paul Wildridge also fall down the order. I'm checking to see if I can figure out what happened to him as we keep the cameras on this fight. I think he had an off and a slight contact in the wall into the heel of the boot, it seems, but he's able to keep going. Oh, and our leaders are very close.
Yeah, they are, and but I will say Declan Eady in no rush to make the pass here. He is just holding that in 6th gear and feathering that throttle. So I think he is in uber fuel save mode here, just trying to get a little bit more fuel economy than Joshua Chin. We'll have to see how that factors into pit stops, as by my calculations, we should expect these guys to start to come into the pits between about 25 to 35 or excuse me, 25 to 15 minutes to go in the race.
Yeah, I think you're right. It seems like the 013's kind of just waiting and biding his time. He knows that this race is not going to be won early on just by getting that track position. But not the case with those fighting for 4th place. Guyon's been caught by Matthew Hall big time. I'm honestly a little bit shocked that Hall's been able to gun that down so quickly. Thought it would take a little bit more effort between them. And that'll bring Guyon back into that fray that he's trying desperately to get away from, which includes, gosh, about 7 cars at this point.
Yeah, there you can see it. That is Guyon with Hall right up behind him. So that one lap pace like we were talking about early on, it's not a fluke here from Matthew Hall. He really just has a great feel from this track. But this whole train all the way back to about Dave Peterson in 10th, I believe, they're all staying nice and tight together, really making this a good fight.
Looks like LeBlanc is the last of the group. He's in 9th. So it's 6 cars running together. This time, though, Hall's much closer, and he's going to easily breeze by. Looks like this is going to be no problem for him at all. No, I take that back. He stalls out. Wow, and he's going to continue the fight through the carousel, but eventually gets it done. That was not the way I expected that fight to go.
Nor I. Matthew Hall just really doing some great driving here and taking advantage of that stall out. So this is becoming very interesting, as all of these guys just seem to be the match for one another. Nobody giving quarter, nobody backing away whatsoever. This is just a fantastic battle between very evenly matched drivers across the board.
This has been very similar to the battle behind them. You mentioned Aaron Roofs and Dave Peterson earlier. They are leading a similar train, essentially for the 10th position. Or Dave Peterson would like to be up in the next train with Owen McLaughlin, but they got 5.5 seconds up to them right now. And it's not looking likely that he's going to be able to get to his championship rival unless something dramatic happens.
No, McLaughlin doing just exactly what he needs to do to be able to pull away. So we're going to jump back up front here as they make their way up through the S's. You can watch here, Declan Eady, he's in the catbird spot. He can make this pass if he wants. We'll have to see if he does or not. I think I'm listening to him there. You can even see the rev lines on the dashboard there. He's just holding that throttle back. He is not pushing Chin at all.
And he just set the fastest lap of the race. That, of course, helped along by the slipstream that the 93's been giving him, but being able to be fast and to save fuel is definitely a skill. So Declan Eady making use of all the tools around him. I think McLaughlin got demoted one place. Looks like Jean-Francois Mattei moves up into 7th. So we're in something of a bit of a stalemate with a lot of drivers, it seems, DJ. Everybody kind of knows the game around here, and other than a few little passes in the mid-pack, it's kind of a waiting game.
It very much is, but this is where that fuel strategy, that sort of heady game about auto racing really comes into play. There's a bit of gamesmanship here. Everybody's trying to psych everybody out. I mean, that's what we saw Matthew Hall doing a little bit earlier, just kind of poking his nose here and there and here and there, trying to get somebody to make a mistake. And that's really where you see, in my opinion, some of the best drivers really start to show their stripes. It's in these quiet moments where if you can force something from one of your other drivers, you can pounce and take advantage.
Not to take the air out of the room too much, but our championship is now down to 23 cars on track. Michael Broomhead is the last of them. If 2 more cars retire, then Joshua Chin cannot lose this championship. He will be the winner by, weirdly, other cars wrecking out and nothing to do with himself and Sirois. In fact, we're going to take a look at him as Indy remains within about a tenth or two behind the number 93 and has been there since the start of the race. Indy claimed that pole position bonus point, but there's also the clean racing bonus point if he has less than 3 incidents. We'll have to wait until the end to see that. And the fastest lap. Currently, that fastest lap goes to Declan Eady, but that also could change before the race is over. And if Chin does take either one of those bonus points, then effectively all he needs is 1 car to DNF.
Exactly, that's what he needs, but there is a little bit of a wrinkle going to get thrown into the works here, and that is right up ahead of them. The first lap car that we're going to see, that's Michael Broomhead, that they're going to be coming up on. Now, Broomhead's more than likely going to get out of the way for these guys. There you can see him just coming by your screen. He's going to play this nice. He knows what's at stake. He's a great driver. He's going to get out of the way. But depending on when he makes that move, Joshua Chin may be able to get a little bit of a draft on him, maybe able to get a little bit of excess speed, see if he can pull out something from Declan Eady. In contrast, he may be able to tuck up behind Broomhead, save a little fuel as they come their way up through the S's now.
Indeed, this will help him maybe try and go for that fastest lap. Get something over Declan Eady. As they come over the crest, Eady pulls up behind him. Chin definitely using that slipstream, now pulling out as they go by Broomhead. Nicely done by the 05, just getting out of the way. And the 2 are through. We've also just lost Don Bowden. The number 5 car, unfortunately, having a wreck out of turn 1, smashes into the wall in a single car incident.
Yeah, so that brings our total down. Now, as he's going to be in the pits, we'll have to see if he comes back out again. We're going to go back to P5, though, as this battle is really shaping up once again. Not that it ever went away. That's Ike, Guyon, Matei, and McLaughlin there, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, Matthew Hall has left this battle, though. There he just went by. It's a gap of 2.3 seconds. That's well outside the slipstream. So he's been able to do what nobody else in this group has been able to in a lot of trying, frankly, almost halfway through the race at this point. Oh, and now, another big wreck. Tyler Gore and Christopher Richards come together. The question is, are they going to be out? I think they're both able to continue.
And we're going to jump back to replay here to check this out. That's Gore there in that purple and green. You see him just lose it coming through, and Richards, get out of the way, thread the needle.
All 4 cars behind him managed to avoid that. And I don't know how. That is a corner where spins tend to erupt in just massive pileups. Look at that.
Oh my goodness, barely keep, and just a nice little dink on that front wing. I don't even know if that caused him any damage. That's incredible, Joe.
Really phenomenal stuff. Now, Gore is actually, looks like he might be slightly compromised as he fell down a couple positions just now. Not sure if he's got some damage on the car or what, but Hebert and Richards snuck on by. Looks like both Richards and Gore are going to come into the pits.
So this is the earliest stage of the fuel window, so they should be fine, shouldn't have any problems. But we're going to jump back up here to the battle for P5. As we talked about, Matthew Hall really pulling away there, but that's Ike, Guyon, Matei, and McLaughlin. This battle staying really, really tight, and that is, I believe, yeah, that's the 5 of them.
Coming through the toe of the boot, that's Ike leading, Guyon, Matei, the 3rd in line, McLaughlin 4th in line, and LeBlanc 5th in line. Nobody ducks out, coming up the hill towards the toe of the boot. Everybody just kind of waiting now. Wonder if they're a little bit disconcerted by the fact that Hall was able to gap himself so easily. Maybe they're all playing nice.
They might be impressive for Matthew Hall in pulling away in that fashion, because he didn't have everybody pulling him along. So that is just sheer pace alone. And it goes back to what we kind of talked about at the beginning of this broadcast when I was mentioning about just how much of a rhythm track this is. If you're out solo hot lapping, you can really get into a good groove and hold it. And that looks like it's exactly what Matthew Hall is doing.
Coming up the hill. Let's see if anybody ducks out this time. Ike pulled himself away from Guyon by a fair bit. Now Guyon will get a tow. That's Ike in the red and white machine. The black and red is Guyon. Behind them, Matei has McLaughlin close up, but Owen decides he's not really interested in trying to make the overtake. Nobody changes positions as they once again swing it through the carousel. Now, I'm not sure if Don Bowden is going to retire or not. He appears to be taking repairs as he's been sitting in his stall for quite a while. Ooh, and he is missing a wheel.
That obviously important for those championship implications for what could happen to Josh Chin and David Sirwa as we keep an eye on this battle for P5. Everybody just keeping it nice and easy, Joe. I think it's fuel strategy time. I think that's what everybody's running. Nobody wanted to make that move, and I gotta say, if they're this close, as Chin is in the pits, I believe.
Yeah, he just announced that he's coming in, so he lets Edie go. I wonder if Chin noticed that he'd been sitting behind him, so Chin's just deciding, okay, I think I'm faster than him. I'm going to pit so that he can't use my slipstream and see if I can outgun him on my own.
That's a distinct possibility, and what's going to happen is that means Declan Eady's now going to be left up creek without a paddle. He's not going to have anything to pull him along, as behind him, Ike, McLaughlin, Peterson, and Legault also dive in. So those are the guys that were running out front a whole bunch. Chin works his way out of the pits. That's going to be very beneficial to him. That's Aaron Roofs right in front of him. He's going to have the draft coming up through the S's. That's going to be mega for Josh Chin.
Get some time, but he's got to make the pass before they get into the second half of the course. He's got the tow. He's starting to gain. His Roof's going to fight it. He doesn't have to give way. This is not a blue flag scenario, even though they're not fighting on the same strategy. Chin easily by and clear. So 93 up into 7th, and now he can start to push. Will we see Edie respond, or will he stay out?
Well, here you see him there coming through the heel up through to turn 9. He does have Daniel Barnett right in front of him, about 3 seconds in front. That is a lapped car, so he'll have to make up his mind pretty quickly here. Coming in through to turn 10, he's going to have to make the decision as he comes onto the main straight. We'll have to see what he does.
Out through the final turn. Is he going to hold tight? He does. He's pitting. He is going to respond. He knows how to play the game. So Sirwa, what about him? Does he come in with him? Yes, he does.
So it looks like all of that fuel saving for Declan Eady a little bit went to naught because Joshua Chin able to outsmart him just a hair. Now Chin, there you can see him. He's coming out of turn 10 now, 11, as Eady is now coming to a stop in his pit stall. So we're going to have to see what this breaks down to. That's Chin on the main straight. Eady getting out of the pits. This is going to be close, Joe.
It's going to be very close. But if Chin still has the draft, the fight is on. Chin's pushing very hard, going way outside on the first corner. He might be just outside of the draft. I think Edie saved enough fuel. It was a second quicker in his pit stall, and the 013 now has clear road ahead of him.
Oh, that's a brilliant call there from Glen. You know, we talked about it. Sometimes it's not about trying to see how long you can go on a tank of fuel, but in a single stop race like this, it's about how little fuel you have to put in to get to the end, and that's exactly what Glen did, and it allowed him to pull out this advantage of about a second and a half over Joshua Chin.
Chin's already got it down to 1.4 though. Goes back up to 1.5. We'll keep a close eye on that. Serwa, unfortunately, still 10 and a half back from the pair, the pair of them, as he had a little bit of a slower pit stop and just hasn't had the raw pace as well. So we still have 22 cars running on track. We're waiting for Don Bowden to finish repairs if he intends to return, but everybody has taken their scheduled fuel stop. They are in and out. I think potentially, DJ, I think maybe this just was such a thirsty track that there was a very small pit window today.
I think you're right on that one, Joe. I mean, you are on throttle for over 70% of this lap. I don't have the exact figure in front of me, I apologize, but it is a very, very fuel-heavy track, so not a whole lot of room to give and take, and I also think a lot of these guys were scared about a potential undercut running without a draft partner, and so that could have also played into it as well.
Yeah, that's true. If someone sees the front of the train coming in, maybe they'll just decide, well, might as well go with them. As we take a look at our leader, oh, it's down to 1 second flat. Chin is absolutely faster than him, and he's going to start to feel the effects of the slipstream. Will this be enough that he could try to catch him and fight him within the next couple laps, or will it be a longer slog to try and gain on that number 013? He gets it down to 0.8 of a second by the end of the backstretch. 17 minutes to go. We're looking at around 9 laps left.
This is going to make things very interesting as we see these guys trying to do what they can do to make anything happen here. That is Chin, without question, closing up on Glen, so do not count either of these guys out quite yet.
Got a side-by-side battle between Gaillon and LeBlanc. This is for 7th spot, and it's going to carry on into the chute. I think LeBlanc is going to be able to take it away. There you can see that is the orange and black machine of Eric LeBlanc in the 5.42, now ahead of Gaillon and McLaughlin, who is in 9th at the back of this train, but he is still 1 position ahead of David Peterson. Now, let's see. Ooh, that's only 1 position. He's going to tie with him potentially, it seems.
I think that's right, and I don't know what their overall positions are in terms of tiebreakers there, so that could be a very interesting situation. That's got to be on Owen McLaughlin's mind, as he's really going to be trying to get past Alex Gaillon now.
That'll be a nail-biter between the pair of them. Looking back to Chin, he is within 0.3 of a second. Does he attack? Does he wait? He's up to the gearbox. He attacks. No sitting around for the number 93. And in fact, as he comes down the backstretch into the carousel, Edie has no answer. Glen back down to P2, where he was for the entire first half of this race. But now there's no sitting around. Now he must be in front of him on that checkered flag.
Yeah, he's got to be pushing it. If I'm Glen, I'm going to start doing some mental math here and figure out when is the last time we're going to get a pass, because I want to be in 2nd place when I cross the start-finish line to get the white flag, be able to get the draft through the S's up into the carousel on the last lap.
This is going to be a tense one. And if we duck back, LeBlanc and Gaillon are still fighting very hard, which might actually be good news for McLaughlin, because if those two keep fighting, he could have an easy overtake. LeBlanc for the overtake down into the heel of the boot. He's got the inside. Gaillon can't hold on. LeBlanc is clear, but Gaillon keeps it off to the inside, seeing if he can duck his nose in. No dice. The 808 falls to P8.
And I thought for a second there that Owen McLaughlin was going to try to get a little bit more momentum around the outside of turn 9, but that did not happen. But he's going to get the advantage of the double draft here now as they make their way onto the start-finish straightaway.
Yeah, I would have thought that McLaughlin would be more proactive. Of course, we're assuming that he knows the championship situation and the point situation there for the AM champ. It could be that he's just out here racing and just having fun. Not everybody gives as much weight to those sorts of things. He's got the toe. This will be a great opportunity. This will be very telling on if he does want to try and overtake this pair. So hit the top of the hill. And looks like he's not going anywhere right now. He's just pulling along. However, Aaron Roofs is going around Dave Peterson potentially.
Well, that's good news for Owen McLaughlin, and there you see it around the outside of the carousel. Can he get it done? If he keeps the power down, keeps relatively level here into the laces, he'll have it. He does. He outbreaks him, and he's got him. But Dave Peterson not done yet. He's going to try to fight back into the toe.
Takes a look. Is he going to outbreak him? No, it's just not there. So Roofs up to P10, and critically that does give McLaughlin the AM championship now if they stay as they are. Wow. We might not have as thrilling a fight for the overall, the pro championship, but this AM champ is really coming down to the last bit.
Every last bit is going to matter, and it looks like here Owen McLaughlin still, even though that position has been taken, just trying to get absolutely anything he can do over Alex Guyon as they come out of turn 11, make their way onto the start-finish straightaway. These guys starting to separate out a little bit more. Matei and Ike getting a little bit closer, but putting a gap between LeBlanc, Guyon, and McLaughlin behind.
12 minutes to go. Clock never-endingly ticking down, never stopping. And you have to keep pushing as this trio comes up the hill. Remember, this used to be 6 cars. It is very much pulled apart. Ahead of them, Jean-Francois and Andreas Ike have a little bit of a back and forth. I think Matei is actually going to get that spot. There you see the orange and black car to the inside, looking for 5th. Oh, he's going to fight it. Ike going to make him work hard. And that switch back to the inside into the chutes makes him, allows him a successful defense. So the 76, nice job there. And he stays defensive down into the toe of the boot as Jean-Francois Matei is not going to take this one sitting down. He sends it in deep. Side by side, the wheel-to-wheel battle continues, DJ.
They keep it going now into the heel. Matei trying to take full advantage of that outside line, get as much momentum as he can, almost onto the grass, but he's now finally got the inside line into turn 9. Can he make it work? Ike goes super wide, tries to look at maybe the over-under, but Matei says no thank you, and he moves himself up. That's Matei 5th, Ike 6th, but that's going to pull up LeBlanc right behind them as well.
Oh, and that's not good for their fight. They were well clear before this and could have scampered off on their own. But LeBlanc can smell blood in the water. With 10 minutes to go, he's going to get a huge tow here as long as he gets a decent exit out of the 90. All of them swinging as wide as they dare back over the curbing. And they start to pick up speed. Ike pulling in on the back of Matei. And is this going to be enough for a 3 wide potentially? It has the possibility for it.
It certainly does. There goes Ike out to the outside of Matei. That's going to be LeBlanc pulling him behind. Is he going to think about it? He's going to try to go along. Maybe thinks about it. No, he's going to go on the outside line. But here comes Ike around the outside. Mega momentum. Looks like he's got that line. Matei's going to hold it, though. And Ike gets the advantage into turn 6.
That'll give Andreas Ike P5 an update. Broomhead has been in the pits. We must have missed an incident. He's got 8 minutes of repairs currently. Is almost a touch between Ike and Jean-Francois Matei. And now LeBlanc sees his teammate slow, gets the better exit coming out of the toe of the boot, and then decides he's going to back out of it. Doesn't trust trying to stick it up into the heel. Oh, once again, another good run from Owen. This time I think there really was contact.
I think there was, but I didn't see a jitter through either of the cars, so it may be able to keep them going straight. as now LeBlanc is right up that gearbox of Matei still. They keep it nice and orderly, but watch him. Matei's going to want to actually, or LeBlanc rather, is going to actually want to back off ever so slightly, I think, through the S's. You saw Ike do it a little bit, take a wider line to slow the car down to maximize the draft and get the opportunity at exactly the right point. That's exactly what he's doing here.
Who's going to get it this time? Don't forget there's a couple other cars involved. Guyon and McLaughlin are behind the pair of them. And it's like LeBlanc's got the run that he needs, but so does Matei. He's got to watch in his mirrors and ahead. They're going to fan out 3 wide down to the inside. LeBlanc, the farthest to the inside of the corner, and also the first to back out. So it appears that Matei is going to take P5 back once again. LeBlanc now has another car sandwiched between himself and his teammate.
He does, and I have to say, I think that was a good move from Eric LeBlanc to recognize that 3 do not go into turn 5 nice and orderly, and keeps on fighting another day. But their Ike runs a little bit wide through the toe. That's going to let LeBlanc close up a little bit. He thinks about darting to the outside, decides not to do it. I think he's not far enough, or he's not close enough to be able to make a move into the heel, but he is going to be right in order to be able to maybe make another sneaky move here. We'll have to see what happens.
Just an update, Peterson's back into 10th behind McLaughlin, so they are once again tied. Of course, again, this is without knowing where they sit in terms of bonus points. Obviously, not imagining them getting the fastest lap, but they could find themselves with 3 incidents or less for the clean race bonus. Down to the inside, LeBlanc trying to attack Andreas Ike. This might be the wrong spot for it, though. They're going to lose a lot of time on Jean-François.
They lost a whole bunch of time there, and behind them, Alex Guyon is really licking his lips, seeing maybe he can get a run here, but that's about the perfect distance for LeBlanc to be able to get a good run on Ike. I think he may just time this absolutely perfectly to get it to go. You see him kind of moving around a little bit, thinking about it this way and that. Guyon stalking there behind as well.
Backs out of it. LeBlanc decides he doesn't have enough in it to try and get to the inside. He could be slow off the corner because Guyon is looking fairly good. He also just breaks a little early. Guyon in the battle for the team's championship. He's trying to help Josh Chin for Team Talent. Can't quite find a way around, but as it stands... oh, no, excuse me. Guyon's helping Lavoie Motorsports. Got that confused. He's trying to help Sirwa. As it stands, David and Alex are not going to take the championship. Team Talent leads, with Ike being Josh Chin's teammate.
That's right, so they'll hold on to that as we tick down under 6 minutes to go here. This is starting to be do or die time for any of these drivers. And so we jump back up to the front here. You can see it. I've been watching this battle out of the corner of my eye. Our buddy Declan Eady is doing exactly what he did on the first lap, or the first run here, but he may try to, nope, he's gonna back off again. Joe, I think he's waiting for that white flag to make the move.
I think so too. And he's getting lots of great intelligence here, knowing exactly how much he's going to be pulling up behind him in that slipstream, exactly what kind of run he needs. I do believe, though we can't call it official yet, we might as well call this championship for Josh Chin. Bowden and Broomhead have not been back out on track. We have very few laps left to go. So I do not think that they can manage to even overtake Chin if they get back out on track. Chin, by default, is looking like he will be our championship winner no matter what. But now, can he finish it off with a bang and take a victory? There's been 3 tenths or less between himself and Edie for these last half of the race. It's going to be hard to shake him, and I'm pretty sure from what we've seen of Edie, he is a wily character.
He very much is, but Joe, both of these guys, I think, are struggling with tires here. Neither of them took tires in their stops, and you could really tell. On the previous lap, Josh Chin had a big tail slide coming through turn 7, and on that last lap, Edie was really struggling through the whole boot section as he gets completely sideways there. Full opposite lock on the car. These guys are just hanging on for dear life at this point.
That's the last thing that he wants, especially when it comes to that final lap. Pushing a little bit too hard, and you can see he's lost the slipstream slightly. It's going to reel him in. It was about 0.6. It's coming down, and Chin's trying to weave to break it, knowing now is his chance. Gets all the way down to 0.3 by the end of the straightaway. But again, critical intelligence there, DJ, because now he knows that's too far back.
Yep, he knows exactly what gaps he's going to need to do. We talked a little bit about the head game that these drivers have to play. That's what I think Declan Eady's doing a lot of. He knows where he needs to be crossing the start-finish line when they get that white flag. And so he's going to try to do absolutely everything. And Joe, I'm predicting here in about 3 minutes, we are going to see almost side-by-side the entire way around this track as these two battle for the checkered flag.
I think it's going to be 2 to go this time by. And Andreas Ikes in a side-by-side battle with LeBlanc once again. This is going through the LeBlanc to the outside, Ike to the inside. LeBlanc almost touching the grass, barely holding onto the car, and they break down to the toe of the boot. LeBlanc going to be able to hold the position over Ike, and that will give him 6th.
And nice job from LeBlanc there, getting the car out to the outside portion of the track, trying to block him off, getting his car nice and wide there, preventing Ike from going around the outside of the heel of turn 8. So move LeBlanc up that position. He's doing really well to keep that all together, as there you see on board with Andreas Ike.
Love the perspective from the helmet cam, just give you a sense of both the speed and how tricky some of these corners are. Out through the penultimate turn. I can tell you that our leaders are on the back stretch again, but with still a lap to go. I doubt we'll see Edie try it yet. In fact, yeah, he's going to give a big lift.
And we are being told that the highest finishing AM driver will actually get 35 points and the second will get 32 points. So that will be a definitive win then for Owen McLaughlin over Dave Peterson if things stay as they are, as there is that 3-point gap as opposed to the 1 that we originally thought it was, Joe.
Ah, yes, that's a good point. So McLaughlin still 5 seconds ahead. We're not expecting that to switch around. Let's stick with these two in the final lap, which is coming up soon. The clock is under a regular lap time, so the white flag will be out. And Declan Eady has been setting up for this. The only downside, though, DJ, is I almost wager he's only got 1 shot at this.
He's only got 1 shot, but that's all he's going to need. He got a little bit squirrely coming out of the boot in turn 9, but he's able to keep power down nice and easy here. He's about 0.4, 0.5 back of Chin. That's going to be in perfect draft range. He's just got to get the power down coming out of turn 1 here. We'll have to watch and see what he does. He's going to go on a relatively easy line, a little bit of opposite lock, a little bit of sideways, but I think that's going to be close enough to make the move, Joe. Here we go.
He was 0.4 off the corner. We know that 0.6 was a little too far. Is 0.4 close enough? He's not only got to get side by side, but he's got to complete the pass. Don't forget, and Chin is certainly going to be fighting this one tooth and nail. He's got the run. Chin doesn't move to the inside. He lets him have it. Is he going to be clear? He's up in front of him. Chin sends it in deep, but he can't quite hold on. Declan Eady up into the front of them. What has Joshua Chin got in these final few corners? They've got lap traffic in front. That could give him a pick. It's David Hebert just up the road that you can see. Declan Eady leads them out of the chute down into the toe. No look from Chin that time. Could he square off the toe of the boot? He does look like he's doing a much wider line out of that corner, and it gives him a little bit of a run. Declan Eady not quite covering him off. Here comes Chin, looking to the inside, tries to get his nose into there. Eady gives him just enough space. He stays to the left side. The track's gonna switch back into turn 9. He's very shallow into the corner. Chin trying to go for the over-under, tries to block him off, little bit of contact. Chin is interrupted. That might have been it. I'm not sure that he's got another shot from here on out, and the car looks slow. Declan Eady, a little bit of contact, a little bit of elbows out, but he is going to take the win here today at Watkins Glen.
Oh man, oh man, oh man, Declan Eady thanking the stars above for that run. Here comes P3 across the line. David Sirwa, he will finish second in the championship. Josh Chin will be your PRL leader as we jump back to Ike.
Battle for the top 5, and they unfortunately have lost Eric LeBlanc, who spun and hit the wall hard last lap. Ike still under threat from Matei, but I don't think Jean-Francois is going to be able to attack with how far back he is. And indeed, Ike going to be able to get a top 5. And Owen McLaughlin coming to the line behind them, claiming his AM championship in the final round, jumping up a position exactly when he needs.
That's exactly what McLaughlin needed. You hit the nail on the head. Great drive from him. Great action across the board. As we see here, the last guys coming across the line to finish up the race. We're going to go back to Olsen and Cochran here. This is a battle for 15th place as they come through the penultimate corner. Anything going to happen here, Joe?
Well, Cochran looks like he might run out of fuel as he's falling back big time. Donald Olsen is going to be able to take 15th, and Cochran just limps across almost a second behind in P16. That's going to be the last of our lead lap drivers. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around. Welcome back to Watkins Glen. The season finale for the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series gave the win to Declan Eady in the final round, but the championship to second place finisher Joshua Chin. David Sirwa wound up second in the championship, but third on track. He has seemed to consign himself to that position early on in many of our interviews, so I don't think he'll be too disappointed with that, and especially knowing that he at least grabbed another podium this season. He had many, and in fact, that's his 9th top 5 out of 10 races. Matthew Hall backing up his warm-up performance with a nice 4th, and Andreas Ike finishes in 5th. You've got Jean-Francois Matei finishing 6th, followed by Alex Gaillon in 7th. Owen McLaughlin clinches the AM championship in P8, with Aaron Roofs in 9th, and Dave Peterson rounding out your top 10.
Olivier Legault was able to bring the car home in 11th, followed by Sean Duhamel in 12th. Matthew Gunderson, 13th, followed by Paul Wildridge coming back from a little bit of that early damage like we talked about in 14th. Donald Olsen in 15th and Barry Cochran in 16th. We watched them both cross the line. Tyler Gore in 17th, Christopher Richards in 18th, and then the first of the lapped cars, that's Eric LeBlanc, who had that last lap incident, and Daniel Barnett in 20th.
Bear was our last finisher, and everybody from there on down was a DNF, unfortunately. Lost a fair few in this race. But we didn't lose Declan Eady, who came home with win number 2. Finally, another person to take multiple victories this season. Declan, we saw you apologizing a little bit about the final contact. Have you had a chance to go back and look at it? And what are your feelings now that you've had a chance to look at the replay?
Well, I saw, obviously, so you guys saw I got loose a little bit, hard racing for the lead. And I just didn't really know what Josh was doing. I saw him in my virtual mirror at the last second. So at that point, the rear end was already trying to come around. So I just had to keep it straight. And it's unfortunate that he ended up in me. Would have been great to see what we could have done through those last corners. I'm sure you guys would have loved to see that too.
Now, it looked like you kind of had your strategy nailed down from very early on. Uh, was that it? Did you know that you were going to sit behind him and wait and save fuel as soon as he passed you on the first lap, or did that come a little bit farther down the line?
Well, once, I realized we were really close on pace, obviously. And when he passed me off the start, I realized it'd be better to just tuck in, save everything for that last move because I knew I wasn't going to be able to break away. Yeah, it was. There were a couple times I was really tempted to send it down the inside, but there's no way I was going to break that draft. He was quick and I was quick, so I knew I was stuck with him for the rest of the race, no matter what.
Well, as we mentioned, you are now the only other driver besides Josh to have more than one victory on this season. Is that any sort of consolation for you?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
You're the only other driver other than Josh to have taken multiple wins this season, with you taking victory number 2 here today. Is that any sort of consolation, even though you couldn't be in the championship hunt?
Well, I mean, it was not. Yeah, I had a bit of a tough season when it came to points. I mean, I knew I was fast all season. Just things happened outside of racing, so I didn't get to run as much as I would have liked. But it is what it is. Yeah, I'll definitely take a couple wins, couple podiums, decent results. That's all. Nothing to be sad about for sure.
Well, congratulations on finishing off on a victory, and we hope to get to talk to you next season.
Yeah, I hope to have you guys showing off our racing next season. Hopefully that keeps going. Thanks for the broadcast, guys.
That was Declan Eady, our winner here today. And up next, our champion, Josh Chin, being interviewed by DJ Clark.
Well, Josh, you lost the win on just the last couple of corners, but you come away with the championship. Talk about what you're feeling right now.
Happy. Little disappointed in the race today, but I can't be too mad at a second place. But yeah, it's nice to win the title, especially after how last season started. To kind of come full circle and have a good solid season all the way through is really nice.
Yeah, it looked like, you obviously were leading through most of this race in particular, but, Declan was just sort of holding back. How much was he really causing you to drive in your mirrors? Were you trying to figure out the best way what you could come across as, and just talk about seeing him fill up your rear view most of that race?
So I actually just kind of started driving easier after the second time he was behind me and didn't make the move. I figured he was just going to sit back there for a while, so I kind of eased up and wasn't pushing full pace because I knew that he was just going to sit there behind me the whole race. Um, so I was real confused after the pit stop because I figured he was just going to overcut me and fly away, and he didn't take tires, so we ended up basically back on equal footing again.
You stole the next question right out of my mouth. I noticed you both didn't take tires, and it looked like you guys were really having to struggle a little bit for grip in that final stint. I know Declan obviously had that slide that looked like it got Indy a little bit coming out of 9. How tricky was it not taking tires with such a hot track surface?
I wouldn't know because I did take tires actually.
Oh, you did. I did. Well, the computer lies to me, Josh. I apologize, man.
No, I especially noticed the first lap out on cold tires. It was a big struggle coming through the final sector. I flew off at least once.
Gotcha. Well, will we be able to see you back next season? Try to keep on top of your throne here?
Unfortunately not. I've got other commitments coming up at the same time in January for work. But it was fun running these 2 seasons, and hopefully in the future I can make a return in PRL in a different car.
Well, we hope to see you back at some point. Before we let you go, Josh, anybody you need to thank?
Everyone at Team Talent, Team Chimera, wrapped up the team standings championship with Team Talent this season, which was nice. I think last season we should have had a good shot at it, and things didn't quite go right. So got that this season. And Craig Setup Shop run the same setup that I ran tonight. It's there for download if you're a subscriber. And big thanks to Wagon Sim Shop for a great rig.
Well, thank you so much, Josh. And Joe, I believe you are with our second place in the championship and third place here today, David Sirois.
Yes, David, it was second in the championship and finishing on a podium. We know that you've said in the past that you didn't really think that the championship was realistic. So, what is your takeaway after this season? Do you feel proud of what you achieved, anyways?
Yeah, I'm very proud. The car was not very good for my driving style, so fighting for the podium and sometimes stealing a podium from I feel better driver than me. I'm very proud of my season. I have been very consistent all season with 9 top 5 finish in 10 races. So I'm very proud of this.
Yeah, as well as a win to boot amongst those stats. So I think you should be proud. But what was the race like for you? It looked a little bit lonely out there, to be honest.
It was a lonely race. Not much to tell. I was not very prepared for this race. I didn't. I did not practice much. The car was not consistent, and I had to take it easy, especially in slow corners. So a third place finish is very good for me.
Now, Josh Chen just told us that he won't be able to come back to compete for the championship next season. And apparently, your manager telling me behind the scenes here, you also won't be back to compete next season. So you guys have left things wide open for everybody else.
Yeah, I'm very happy. It has been a pleasure to race here all year long. I want to thank Lavoie Motorsport, Karting Offered, and Nitro 360, all the admins from the PRL who are working very hard to put all this together. And also thank to you guys, you are doing a fantastic job. Um
Well, thank you very much. It's been a joy getting to talk to you all this season and looking forward to when we do get to see you back in the Indy Pros.
I hope to be back in a few seasons, but I am taking a break for January.
Well, that was David Sirois, our third place finisher today, second in the championship. And that will, of course, close us out for the night in our interviews. Some fascinating interviews as well. A big thank you to our sponsor, ButtKicker. Of course, if you want some for your sim rig, check them out at thebuttkicker.com. And of course, thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And I can tell you from if you follow her Twitter, she is working on a new album right now. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. The next race is going to be coming up for next season soonish. We've got December 17th for the next round. We're waiting to find out what track that is going to be on, but we can confirm that we will be returning for the PRL. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern that Thursday. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.